Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to many of us. Welcome to CFO Playbook, a series conducted by CXO TV, where a CFO narrates a story and share the learning and the success of building a great and a profitable brand. So today we have with us Vikas Bothra, VP Finance at Crow Firm and initiative of Otipy. Vikas has an experience of more than 14 years and have been working under various capacity at Jabong, AM Finance, and Vikas has also played a very instrumental role in floating an IPO at IndiaMart. So 2022 is a pivotal year for CFO. Unemployment is low. Omicron COVID-19 variant is unlikely to derail the economy's solid growth path. So why did the optimism of CFO fall late last year? It may be because of the looming combination of inflation, rising interest rate, or getting the right talent. A large number of the CFO may be running that challenge for the first time in the coming year. Fortunately, there is an upside. Those challenges exist because markets are filled with opportunities and capital. Where will the obstacles and opportunity lies for CFO in 2022? Let's find out more from our discussion with Vikas. Welcome, Vikas.
Thank you, Anuj. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me here.
Pleasure is ours. So, Vikas, do tell me something about OTP. Your business model, the problem you guys are solving for the farmers, for the consumers, for the middleman, or you. I think you term them as resellers or the partners. So, how's the OTP positioning to, or in fact, positioned to add value to the agriculture industry?
Yeah. So, Anuj, we are primarily into agri-tech supply chain. When we started in 2016, primarily we were doing B2B. Currently, we operate in the brand name of OTP since March 2020. And over a period of last 3 years, we have seen a lot of, unforeseen circumstances. The business has evolved. Our primary focus is to deliver fresh produce in the consumer's hands within a period of 12 to 15 hours, reducing our wastages to sub 5%.
Okay. And how you think you've been adding value to the agriculture industry as such?
See, Anuj, traditionally the agriculture industry has been operating on a 5-layer business model where you used to see, farmer at a farm gate, there's an agent at farm gate, then there's an agent at a mandi who's called, Aditya, then you have a wholesaler, then a retailer, then consumers. In the last, 5 years, we have seen, there's much evolution in entire agri-tech supply chain companies. And in last 2 years, people have also understood the importance of. So what at OTP we do is, we get these produce directly from the farm gates, reducing our wastages. Because our wastages are low, we incur, some 5% wastage losses. We pass on that benefit to the consumers as well as to the farmers. So what farmer get is the right price, as well as they get a direct feedback from us in terms of, what quality to grow, which produce to grow, so that they can plan their, yielding accordingly.
Okay. Because the recent study at Harvard Business found that many finance teams, they struggle with accurately preparing, reconciling, and accessing the high volume of information, or you could say like integrating the recent or the real-time kind of data into analytics. How do you think the finance team of these startup or mid-size, I would say, the SMEs, companies with a strong digital vision should align their financial goals with the business growth?
Right. So, Anuj, with the startups, I can tell you one experience that obviously the startups initially at initial phase are very unstructured. At the same time, they are very agile. They can adapt to new situations very quickly. Similar was the case with us back in March 20. I remember, although we shut all our operations, from head office immediately for about 1 month, but we were operationally, full force at our warehouse. And during this time, to my surprise, we adopted to the newest technology using, we started using cloud technology, we started using technology on our day-to-day operations, that made, people switch to the, technology where people can, work even, remotely as well. So there's a larger need of technology now, and with the technology tsunami coming in, and in the last 2 years, it has taught people to adopt it even in multiple fields, not limited to the businesses, but also how you manage it.
In the finance as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. You rightly pointed out. I think that's what we have been seeing, that
Yeah. So
a lot of finance people have been
even some of the other functions, just to share. I mean, we have never seen people getting onboarded in the company remotely. People used to come office. We used to welcome them, with the greeting cards, welcome. That has changed. We have seen we onboarded about 150 people during the lockdown period, about 2 months, and entire thing was done remotely, and it was as seamless as possible, with the use of technology.
What about from the security perspective? Like, since you guys sit on a very critical information and data, which are the financial data of the organization, how you maintain that kind of security? What kind of a security landscape currently you guys have?
Yeah. So at OTP, what we follow is, we have access controls at each levels. Our data are stored at multiple locations. We use cloud technology so that people can get access real time, from anywhere. And there are very limited access to the individuals, and there are some of the informations which are confidential are given access to only to the limited people.
Okay. So, because the task of preparing a private company inevitably falls mainly to the CFO, and it is the CFO who works very closely with the CEO to sell the IPO story to the investor. I wish to understand from you, Vikas, on your experience and on your approach to the IPO process, the pain, the joys, the lesson you've learned from the process, which you can share with the aspiring CFOs who are watching us today.
Yes. So, Anuj, I've been into this internet space for last 12 years. I've seen a lot of fundraisings. I've seen the IPO process in India Mart as well when we went for an IPO. Today, although the IPO is quite common, but back in 2018-19, there were very few companies who were going to internet, especially in the internet space, who were going to the IPO. And even at OTP, what I keep telling Varun regularly, that whatever fund that we raise, we should think in a way that we got to return more than what we have raised. So fundamentally, what's important at startup, what I felt is you raise as minimum as capital possible, and become sustainable, self-sustainable. you know uh, Getting capital probably an easy thing, but giving a return to the investors, because everybody puts money in sake of certain returns in the future. So raise capital very wisely, and think it from a perspective that you got to return these monies, and help build this business, any business, sustainable and profitable.
Absolutely, because I think you rightly pointed out it's the investor money which you are borrowing, and you need to fetch them with the decent dividends. You know, and but still, I still want to go one level deeper into this. Can you just still talk more about the process? Because I'm sure there are a lot of CFOs who are watching us, would like to understand, because probably these CFOs have already raised funds for BOC series, and might be looking to go for an IPO. So what are your I would say the top 3 tips you want to give down to those CFOs?
Yeah. So with my experience at India Mart, I think what some of the few tips that I would give is have a number one, have a good banker and good counsel. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two is have a very strong team that would work dedicatedly on the IPOs, because it's a long process, because you file a DRHP, then you get an approval. During the approval process, you get a lot of queries from NSEs as well. You know, later on you file an RHP. There's an auditor who's working with you. So have a very strong team who can be with you during the entire journey of DRHP to the listing day. And number three will be, obviously, you got to look at your financial readiness. If your financial statements or the entire, processes and results are on a healthy stage, then only, go for an IPO. And if not, correct them first and then go for an IPO.
Okay, I think well taken those 3 points. I'll just pick the talent piece. How difficult or how challenging it is, to build a good talent pool, especially within the finance.
Yeah. So with the startup space and a lot of funding coming in last 2 years, it's been a quite talking point about the less availability of the candidates across functions. Obviously
Yeah,
technology has been a talking point.
yeah.
I haven't seen the kind of packages that these people are drawing. But slowly, this disruption has also been, coming to the other functions as well, like finance. The approach that we have taken, is you got to have the right balance of the interns and the experienced folk. Interns in a balanced way, because with interns you get, good amount of candidates, and as well as these people are very enthusiastic. So have a balanced approach now. That's what times tell you.
So, because I wish to understand a little bit about the excitement you're seeing from the investors and the venture capitalists for investing in the agri-tech and the farm to home delivery startups. Can you just share your roadmap for the funding?
Yeah, sure. So, just to give you a background, agri-tech business was, always untapped. Agri-tech is a billion-dollar market in India, and it's a high gross margin business. F&B is a high gross margin because it's a perishable product. These products are sold at a good margins.
Okay.
The investors are looking at this business very positively,
Uh-huh.
provided you are able to grow it sustainable and you are able to deal with the wastages.
Uh-huh.
We last year we closed our Series A round of funding. SIG led that round along with on Mauritius. And this year again, we early this year we closed our Series B round as well, where
Okay.
Express came in and led that round along
Uh-huh.
with the existing investor also participated.
Uh-huh.
The Series B round was of about 32 million,
Okay.
and it was closed recently only. And I mean, we are planning for our next round of funding as well.
Okay. Any plans for the IPO in next 2 years?
Yeah, so that's the ultimate goal. At Otipy, our objective is to at least foray into few more cities and become self-sustainable first, and then go for an IPO. Obviously, that's the end goal. That would not happen at least in next 2 years. Probably after 2 years, definitely.
So you talked about the expansion. So probably I'll just take up the expansion piece in the subsequent question. Let me quickly talk about the technology. I think how you guys are leveraging the technology to drive farm to home delivery model to reduce the food wastage.
All right. So no one is now untouched by the tech tsunami that we all are witnessing last few years.
Yeah.
At OTP as well, technology is at our heart of it, and we operate on a prediction-based engine. So what
Okay.
happens, every day our engines or prediction tool tells us, how much to procure. So that actually helps your requirement or eliminates your requirement to stock produce even for a day. So because you don't stock these fresh produce, your wastages are very low. It's sub 5%, as I said, against the industry benchmark of about 15 to 20%. Even some of the traditional, businesses even witness about of wastages of about 25% as well.
Okay.
So technology helps us in actually reducing our wastages and also helping us ship these products in a fastest ever supply chain with
Okay.
a period of like 12 to 15 hours. So how we operate every day, when people place an order, the harvesting happens parallelly at the farm gate.
Uh-huh.
Technically, even when as we speak today, we don't have any produce at our warehouse. These produce are getting harvested at the farm gate. As late as like 12 p.m. in the night, this produce will reach our warehouse, and within 3 to 4 hours of time frame, our supply chain will process them and will deliver it to the community leader early in the morning, and
Uh-huh.
what consumers get is a fresh produce, which is getting which got harvested just last evening.
Okay. So I think having a turnaround time, which you just mentioned, lesser than 12 hours is pretty recommendable. I think that uh, is something which definitely need a lot of attention. But let me also ask you a little bit about your key five focus area over the next 2 to 3 years. Which you'll be focusing around.
Right. So, Anuj, as I explained, technology is at our heart. So, number one, we'll continue to invest in technology in coming. We'll continue to innovate our supply chain as well, because supply chain is key to our fast movement of these goods from farm to fork. Number three would be we will continue to add categories which actually resonate with the fastest supply chain.
Okay.
And four, we'll be foraying into multiple cities in the coming years. Once as we are already opening Mumbai probably next month. And last but not the least, obviously to make this business profitable.
Okay. So any plans to go overseas? You talk about the expansion there in probably B and C class cities. Any further plans to actually go into the APEC or probably a global level?
Sure. No. So I'll just give you a context of it. So what happened? Fresh is the lowest value per item. So
Yeah.
what happened? Even let's say if you look at milk, milk is about 60 rupees a liter.
Yeah.
Equivalent to kg would be less
Yeah.
5-10%
Yeah. Yeah.
plus minus. Grocery is about 100 kg, 100
Yeah.
rupees kg plus.
Yeah.
Fresh is approximately 30 rupee item, 30 rupees
Okay.
per kg. That's the
Okay.
average industry standards.
Okay.
So what you got to build is the a supply chain that could ship this product at a very affordable rate. At OTP, we have built this supply chain which ships these products from our warehouse to the consumers just at 4 rupees per kg. That's the industry best.
Okay.
So with the innovations that we have done in the supply chain, we are getting a lot of interest, even from the overseas as well, uh, from Africa, from Southeast Asia as well, to come and operate there. So probably we haven't finalized yet, but in the coming quarters, probably we may foray into you never know into new continents to experiment this business in a newer country.
Thanks. I think that makes a lot of sense because uh, you mentioned about accessibility, you mentioned about reduced cost, and now you are talking about expansion around the various continents. I think that will definitely make a lot of sense for the homegrown brands like you guys. Uh, can you also talk a little bit about the outlook of the agri-tech industry in India for the next couple of years as a whole?
Yes. So agri industry has always been a underlooked, and now we see a lot of investments and innovations further deepening backward efficiencies. So in the areas of like, seed quality, yield potentials, growing storage, supply chains, so we'll continue to see, a lot of investments and, innovations in all these areas where, we see a lot of efficiencies are built in terms of, the productions.
Okay, so with this, Vikas, we come to the end of this episode. Thanks, Vikas, for an insightful session, and we really had a great pleasure interacting with you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Anuj. Pleasure.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.